Black Talk with Tad, Keisha, and Ashe. Every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Don't forget about our sister station, Constructive Talk Radio, Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m.
Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, and your brother Ashe SJ will be joining us shortly. Family, we got a great program for you tonight. I hope all of you are in the best of health. Health is wealth. Don't forget that. If you ain't healthy, we can't rock with you. Just kidding. But I want to give a quick shout out to Aunt Gwen. Aunt Gwen, congratulations. Yes, cancer free now. That's what I'm talking about. Cancer free now. Yes, indeed. Yes. So I am excited. I was excited when I got the news yesterday. I was hyped.
That's always good.
Yes, indeed, my brother. But how have you been doing? How has your week been?
It's been a beautiful week, blessed week. You know, burning the candle at both ends, working on some things behind the scenes, working hard, but that's what we got to do. Freedom ain't free. It costs. Whether you pay monetarily or with the energy you expend, i.e. putting in the work to get to your goals, that's what's going on. Other than that, I can't complain. Life is good. Life is definitely good. How are you feeling, sis?
Good. I almost overslept. I took a quick nap after my workout. I said, let me just take a quick nap. The quick nap, I'm like, oh, snap, what time is it?
Yeah.
Get up. Man.
Those naps are coming in handy lately.
Yes.
Other day I was in the office and I was just sleeping at my desk. I was like, you know what? Let me shut my eyes for about an hour, 20 minutes, something. Somewhere in between that time. You say 20 minutes, but it ended up being an hour.
Yes. I'm telling you, it's a good thing because I heard my husband downstairs. That's how I jumped up. If I didn't hear him, I don't know. We wouldn't have had no show tonight. But yes, family, I am excited tonight. We got a good program for you all. We're going to continue our research because here, we keep it thorough, Brother Tad. We keep it thorough.
That's a fact.
And Black this is, yes. Yes, and this is quote unquote Women's History Month. So we're going to look at, someone in history that I think is relevant today with what we're seeing in the realm of social media and in entertainment in general as it relates to Black women. And so I just want to go through a little bit of a history of the sister Sarah Baartman. We're going to discuss that. And also, the week before, we gave a little insight into who Josiah Henson really is, a.k.a. Uncle Tom. And I like to keep it plain. I like to keep it simple for the people. So I was able to find a video that we're going to share with you all about Josiah Henson, so that you no longer use the word Uncle Tom as it relates to someone who is doing our people a disservice. So here on Thorough Black Talk, we keep it thorough as we normally do. My brother Ashe will be in here shortly, but I want to get in quick, Brother Tad, of what's been happening in the news with Governor Cuomo. Here in New York. It seems that he has been accused of inappropriate sexual advances towards women that he has worked with. And they seem to be coming out of the woodworks with these stories that he allegedly did something to him. But here on Thorough Black Talk, we've always let our audience know the hidden hand behind the Cuomo family. So during the pandemic, and this is the anniversary of the pandemic,
Yeah.
in the United States, if you will. So I remember, Brother Tad, people saying that he looked presidential,
Yeah.
if you will. That if he was to put his hat in the ring to run for president, that he would definitely get the nomination and succeed in winning the presidency. But how quickly the tables turn. You know, when we on Thorough Black Talk talked about the criminal element behind the Cuomo allegedly family.
Right.
You know, well, it is. It is. It's not allegedly. It is. When we talked about the shenanigans that he pulled as it relates to former governor Mr. Patterson and the Freedom Party, undermining that. But how quickly the tables have turned. It looks like an Elliot Spitzer type situation almost, if you will. Another governor in trouble in New York City. I tell you, New York is criminal indeed. Did you know, Brother Tad, he was married to a Kennedy?
No, that part I didn't know.
Yes, his wife, the only wife that I know of anyway. He was married to, I think her name was Kelly Kennedy, the daughter of Robert Kennedy. So, you know, it has been, you know, supposed that he would eventually throw his hat in the ring. People often said that during that divorce, I think it took place in the early 90s, but they talk about how he married into the family for his own political gain. Now, that may or may not be true, but it just shows, you know, the viewers, the listening audience, how these families intertwine to maintain power and the status quo in this country. But yeah, if you can, Brother Tad, Brother Ashe, when you get a chance, you know, check that out. He definitely was married to a Kennedy. I think they got divorced in the early 90s. I think so.
Okay.
So, Brother Ashe SJ, before we move on, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, sis. You know, grateful for everybody that supports us throughout these weeks. You know, every time we on, every Thursday, tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, we got a real good conversation that we're about to have tonight. You know, in the spirit of Women's History Month, we know we doing Black Women's History Month. You know, we got some great conversation lined up. You know, Sister Keisha, I know you got that video that you shared with us, and it's powerful. You know, it's some great things we want to bring to the people, and we also want y'all to add on to the cipher. You know, we want y'all to add on. You know, any questions or comments that you might have. Please feel free. You know, the chat is right on the side. Make sure you share this link because these are conversations that need to be had. You know what I'm saying? Like in this day and age where, you know, we're in a digital era and, you know, a lot of people, they go online. A lot of people want everything instant gratification and things of that nature. It's important for us to step back and analyze like our place as men, our place as women. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that we are still living honorably and just trying to make sure we standing on the morals and the principles that our African ancestors left before us. Because, you know, a lot of us get caught up in these times in the digital era, technology, things of that nature. It makes things so easy. It's like you could have everything at the snap of a finger, or you could compliment or disrespect somebody at the snap of a finger. You know what I'm saying? It's like no effort and no consequences behind anything anymore, you know? So it's important for us to analyze our place in that. And I think, you know, what we're going to share tonight, you know, some of you may be familiar with this story. Some of you may not. But, you know, countless stories over and over. I don't want to give it up until we get into it yet, but countless stories like this happen with our people, you know, from back in the days till now, till present time, you know, where we have a lot of our women are being taken advantage of and things of that nature. So, you know, it's always important for us to sit back and reflect on who we are, where we are as a people right now, and some things that we can improve on. So I'm excited to have this conversation. You know, I got a slight headache, but I was really excited to get on this conversation the whole day. You know, because it's something, like I said, a lot of us, we falling victim to these things and we don't have enough talks and, really add on to how can we better it. So really don't matter if I got a headache or not. The vibes is here. My brother, my sister is here, and if y'all want to help us out, please make sure y'all share this link, because we're going to get the cipher started. We're going to get the conversation rolling. But make sure you share this link, and let's get this information and this kind of conversation going on with more of our people, family, because, it's craziness, man. Y'all see what's going on online, on social media, and media itself, like marketing, advertising. They taking advantage of us. A lot of people taking advantage of us, and it seemed like we coming out because we getting little crumbs off the table. We getting cut little checks on the side. But at the end of the day, who's really benefiting? So the story that Keisha is going to share tonight, got a great video for us to watch, very informational. And, I just want to encourage, if you have heard of this story before, just spread the word, pass it to somebody else. I'm sure the youth, we always talk about this, the next generation, they don't even know who the damn Black Panthers are. They don't know who Assata Shakur is. They don't know who none of the great Black women before their time are, the real leaders that put in real work for our people, so the women that they might know, that's probably people that don't even look like them. Everybody talking about Meghan Markle right now. Everybody talking about, they talking about a whole bunch of craziness like Kamala Harris, and, some people, they even start like they watching the Queen of England and the princess and all of that stuff over there. It's like, come on, man. Like you got some real sheroes, warrior empresses that put in a lot of work for our people, and we don't really hail them up enough as much as we should, at least with the youth and the next generation. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into this conversation, sister. But I definitely want to shout out, because last week I had the opportunity to share. That's why I love this platform. I love our family that support us, man, because whenever we add in and we in a cipher, real warriors just magnetize to it. You know what I'm saying? And we might not have the biggest, the highest views or things of that nature, but we get the right people that watch. So last week I discussed Miss Coven, who was actually the person that here in America during the time when we were really fighting for our rights and civil rights and things of that nature, before Rosa Parks actually gave up her seat. Actually, refused to give up her seat. And, the whole protests and things of that nature started happening over the bus, and then a bus boycott began. Before Rosa Parks did it, it was actually a sister named Claudette Colvin. And this sister, she was a young sister, which is very impressive, because a lot of the youth nowadays, they need to pay attention to some of the youth from back in the days. If we did a compare and contrast from the teens now into the teens back in the days, I mean, we even shared, there's a video going around social media where some of the children in like the era of the Black Panthers, like the 70s and the 60s and things of that nature, and the kids when everybody's wearing naturals and all of that, but they were showing the children, and they was commentating on some of the times and the current events that was happening. And these children were, if you talking about woke, these children back then, like the status quo for consciousness was just a lot higher, man. You could talk to the children and they knew what was going on. They were grateful that they were getting feed the hood, feed the children programs and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? That the Panthers was giving out, so on and so forth. So, it's important for us to pay attention to the youth. But Claudette Colvin she was 15 at the time. And, she was the one that actually refused to give up her seat on the bus before Rosa Parks, so I discussed that. And if you didn't see last week's episode, you could check that out. Just Google her name and you could find out the elder. But, we had somebody that was actually tuned in and had a connection with the Honorable Claudette Colvin, so I'm really grateful for that. The opportunity that we have on our platform, man, it's quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we got the right warriors in here, we could really, affect some real change. And that's what it's all about. So shout out to everybody that supports. But yeah, Keisha, I'm ready to get into this convo. We got brother Tad in the building. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's jump right into it. Oh, you want me?
Again, family, tonight we just want to look into the life and times of Sarah Baartman. She was born in 1789. She was enslaved. She was trafficked. She was pimped. She was used as entertainment. And even some of the pictures that we're going to show you tonight, family, as you watch and view them, think about images you see when people are in strip clubs, or some of the movies and music videos, because oftentimes we just point to the music industry, but it is the film industry as well that has misappropriated our people, our culture, our anatomy, as it relates to Sarah Baartman. As my brother Ashe said, on social media, many challenges where I'm seeing sisters scantily clothed, if that, just putting these videos out for the world to see. You're going to connect the dots, or I would like for you to connect the dots as you hear the story of the vast amount of Black women and girls and children who are trafficked to this day, that go silent as it relates to mainstream media. There's barely any media coverage when it comes to our people being trafficked, sexual or otherwise. As you watch this film, think about medical apartheid. Sarah Baartman was used as a specimen, if you will, for a Frenchman who owned her later on in life. And just even the sumptuary laws currently, you'll see that play out here as well. She had a son who died at the age of 5. I believe she died at 26 herself. So let's just get into it, family. So I'm gonna play this video for y'all real quick. Here we go.
Sarah Baartman, also known as Saartjie, was born in 1789 in the Gamtoos Valley, located in the eastern part of South Africa, formerly known as the Cape Colony. She belonged to the Khoikhoi tribe, a traditionally pastoral indigenous group who herded cattle in the region. Yet, with the beginning of colonization in South Africa, this way of life was taken away. Her parents were enslaved and were put to work on a colonial farm. Sadly, Sarah's mother died when she was a small infant, aged just 2. She was described as being independent and hard-working from a young age, but given her circumstances, that was her only choice. When Sarah was a young teenager, her father was also taken from her, having been killed by Bushmen while doing his job as a cattle driver. The Bushmen, or San, are the oldest inhabitants of southern Africa, who to this day live as hunter-gatherers. As was common at the time, Sarah married young. Her husband also belonged to the Khoikhoi, and he worked as a drummer. Not long after, Sarah gave birth to a child, yet sadly, the baby died not long after being born. During the 1800s, a free black trader named Peter Cesars came across Sarah Baartman, later convincing her to move to Cape Town, which was just recently under the control of the British. Although records state she was persuaded, given the situation at the time, it's more likely that Sarah was forced to go. She worked in Cape Town for 2 years, first as a nursemaid to Peter, and later as a servant to a Dutch man. This was the place where she would be renamed to Saartjie by her new Dutch masters, as it is a diminutive form of her name in Dutch. This small detail in changing her name demonstrated the amount of control that the Dutch had over these people. Although legally, Sarah Baartman wasn't enslaved, in a more practical sense, she was. She lived in poor conditions while in Cape Town and was treated similarly to others who were enslaved there. It was also around this time that colonists killed her fiancé. Following this, she began to work in the household of Peter's brother, called Hendrik Cesars, which was outside the region of Cape Town, today known as Woodstock. During her time at Hendrik Cesars' house, Sarah worked as a wet nurse. This job consisted of lactating women, breastfeeding the child of another, and was typically done by extremely poor women. While working for the Cesars, Sarah became involved with a poor Dutch soldier named Hendrik van Jong, who lived near Cape Town. Yet, the liaison didn't last, as before long, Jong's regiment left the city, causing Sarah even more heartbreak. For years, she continued working as a servant and wet nurse, until one day, she made the acquaintance of a Scottish military surgeon called William Dunlop. As well as having a medical practice, he also supplied British showmen with rare species of animals. After Sarah caught his eye, he presented her with an opportunity to earn money in England by exhibiting her body at the circus. But what was it that he saw that was so fascinating or unusual about her body? Well, Sarah had steatopedia, which resulted in massive buttocks caused by built-up fat. In the early 19th century in Britain, crowds became intrigued by the weird and wonderful, and as this condition was something so uncommon and novel in English exhibitions, William Dunlop knew a lot of money could be made. However, Sarah Baartman refused at first, but of course, William remained persistent for her to move, as he knew her display would make him an even wealthier man. Nevertheless, this was not an easy decision, because in the end, she would be exposing herself and her dignity. After much consideration, she decided to go, but under one condition, that Hendrik Cesars came with her. Hendrik, like Sarah, initially refused, but after some time, he agreed. This decision was in large part due to the debts he accumulated from his bad administration on the loans he had taken out. Also, he was not getting paid by clients, so he had to look for another way to generate income. Supposedly, on the 29th of October, 1810, Sarah signed a contract in which she agreed to work as a servant as well as exhibit herself for entertainment purposes. Sadly, Sarah was simply being used. First, she was illiterate, and secondly, the contract was in English, so she was unable to read the contents of the document. It's more than likely that she was forced to sign, and of course, she kept no copy of the contract. This meant that the men intent on exploiting her were able to modify the contract as they pleased. This allowed them to protect themselves if any legal problems arose, as they had a solid defense. Despite the men not caring much for her, treating her badly, and exploiting her, there were two benefits in the contract that gave Sarah hope. It stipulated that after 5 years of working with these men, she would be able to return to South Africa, while also receiving a portion of the earnings from the show. In the winter of 1810, the party boarded a ship and made their way to London. Whether Sarah went under her own free will is uncertain, but by this time, she really didn't have a choice. Sarah arrived in London in November 1810, and Dunlop already had things prepared. She was to be exhibited as early as possible. The show was displayed in the Egyptian Hall of Piccadilly Circus. The show consisted of Sarah being locked in a 1.5-meter cage, with William bringing her to stage, and Hendrik as the master of the ceremony. For only 2 shillings, crowds of people would enter Piccadilly to watch Sarah Baartman as an attraction where she sang, walked, and displayed the anomalies of her body to the people who visited. People who attended the show could even poke sticks at her. Even wealthier individuals paid a special fee for private shows at their house reunions. Flyers for the show read, "Saartjie is 22 years old, is 4 feet 10 inches high, and has a good capacity. She lived in the occupation of a cook at the Cape of Good Hope. Her country is situated not less than 600 miles from the Cape, the inhabitants of which are rich in cattle and sell them by barter for a mere trifle. A bottle of brandy or small roll of tobacco will purchase several sheep. Their principal trade is in cattle skins or tallow. Beyond this nation is another, of small stature, very subtle and fierce. The Dutch could not bring them under subjugation, and shot them whenever they found them. Before long, the African Association, an abolitionist benevolent society, heard about the ill treatment Sarah was receiving, and decided to take the case to court. One of the main people behind the campaign was Zachary Macaulay, a hugely influential man in the anti-slavery movement, which led to the 1807 Slave Trade Act in England. He was also one of the founders of London University and earned prestige in the city. The trial took place on the 24th of November, 1810, with its main purpose being determining whether Sarah was being exhibited at her own consent or if it was under duress. Despite strong evidence being presented by the association, Sarah stated that she was not under restraint, did not get sexually abused, and had come to London on her own free will. It should be stated that William Dunlop, her so-called manager, who was more like her owner, was in the room when she made this statement. Furthermore, the written contract which had been signed by Sarah helped their case. In the end, the case was dismissed, meaning William Dunlop and Hendrik Cesars ended up with no charges. The contract was amended either way, and as a result, Sarah became entitled to more profits for her show, better clothes, and normal living conditions. Or was she? Records state that the men moved with Sarah to Manchester after this period of trial, so whether they decided to uphold what was stipulated in the contract remains unknown. Nevertheless, the trial made her shows even more popular. She travelled all over Great Britain and even as far as Ireland. She was even baptised while in Manchester. In 1814, William Dunlop died. After Dunlop's death, a man named Henry Taylor brought Sarah to Paris. Henry had been hearing about Sarah's shows for a few years now, as word spread fast in Europe, especially when it was someone as unique as Sarah. Henry thought that the French people could not miss this opportunity to enjoy her presence as a celebrity. She became involved with French society and even had reunions at the famous Café de Paris. Despite Henry doing all of this, a few weeks after having arrived in France, she was sold to an animal trainer called S. Réau, who was known in France for being the founder and professor of comparative anatomy at the Museum of Natural History. In Paris, she was exhibited as if she were a circus animal, being locked in a cage next to other attractions, like baby rhinos. During the shows, Sarah was presented almost naked every time. There is even information suggesting that occasionally a collar was placed on her neck. During this time, Sarah Baartman was in essence enslaved, being exploited to an even greater extent than previously in England. Despite being offered money, she refused to be presented naked, always insisting on wearing a small apron-like garment. There was only one time that she was presented fully naked, and she knew that this was beneath her dignity level. Many scientists in France were intrigued by Sarah, wanting to study her. In particular was the naturalist Georges Cuvier, who along with fellow anatomists, zoologists, and physiologists examined Sarah. Allegedly, Cuvier determined that Sarah was a missing link between animals and humans. In Europe, this was a time when racial studies started to arise, and Sarah Baartman could have been one of the reasons for this. Her time in France lasted around 15 months. Unfortunately, throughout this time she lived in terrible conditions, was very miserable, and extremely poor. She was even sexually abused and got impregnated by S. Réau. The son was named Okura Réau, but he died very young, aged just 5 due to unknown causes. After a long period of travelling and living in inhumane conditions, Sarah Baartman died on the 29th of December 1815 in Paris at the young age of 26. The cause of death remains in debate. Records state that her death was caused by an inflammatory disease derived from a smallpox case, but others say she could have died from alcoholism, pneumonia, or syphilis. After obtaining Sarah Baartman's remains from local authorities, Georges Cuvier dissected her body, trying to discover the cause of death. He also preserved various parts of her corpse. Following her death, Sarah was described as an intelligent woman for her death until 1937, and later in the Musée de l'Homme until 1974. Thanks to years of campaigning and a request from South Africa's former president, Nelson Mandela, Sarah Baartman's remains were finally returned to their native country. With a process lasting 8 years, on the 9th of August 2002, which is also Women's Day in South Africa, Sarah Baartman was buried in the Eastern Cape province, where she belonged. Thank you everyone for watching this video.
Yeah. Man.
That's a lot. That's a lot, and let me just, these are some of the images of Miss Baartman that were on display. Here is images of her in the museum, even in death, on display. So, my brothers, give me your take on the clip we just saw.
Well, it was interesting since I've read up on Sarah prior to that, and I think it was some key elements they left out. One in particular I always think of, I believe P.T. Barnum even has Sarah Baartman on display at one point during a career in his ascent to prosperity, developing the Barnum and Bailey Circus. P.T. Barnum, and we see this time and time again, our sisters always being exploited for their physical beauty, and our brothers being exploited for our physical prowess. So carrying that mindset to now, it's just still much of the same. We're seeing as physical objects and not for the humans, the beings that we are. The spirit that lives within us that makes us the great divine people. You have another group of people that always see it as a way to make money or exploit our natural talents, whatever it is about us that we have that they don't. They try to exploit that. And as we fast forward to today, we see it's the same thing. We see it's in the commercials when you see mixed families, and you always see them a Caucasian male with a black sister. Seldom do you see it the other way around, a black man with a Caucasian sister. Why? Because the psychology of sex, based on their father's psychology, Sigmund Freud, sex is always based on a position of dominance and conquest. So if a man is with a woman, he has to be the conqueror, so they're not going to show you a black man conquering a white woman. However, we'll get stories and images time and time again of a white man being in a dominant position with a black woman. Even when you transfer to Meghan Markle, as we talked about her marrying the Prince of England and things like that. So it's just nothing new. And those are just my thoughts. That's my 2 cents. Brother Ashe?
Nah, that's facts, man. I'm glad you dropped that about their psychology and Sigmund Freud and all of that, because that's deep right there, man. That says it all, and I didn't even think of it from that level, because I've seen plenty of commercials, with that same duo, the black woman getting conquered by the white man. But in the case of Sara Saartjie Baartman, it's crazy because this is something that we constantly see, like we bombarded over and over, whether you're watching a commercial or whether you're watching a music video or whether you just on social media, whatever the case is. Like, they always use, all women's beauty and the body and things of that nature to benefit them. You know, whether it's in the case of Saartjie Baartman of them putting on display for ridicule, or for them, you know, putting them on display to be the most beautiful being that they are on the planet, you know, because they ain't nothing better than a black woman, you know. But in that case, like Ty said, they gotta conquer it. They gotta objectify it, and, you know, make it seem like it's an object, and it's just a you know, something that they could do without, or, you know, it's a luxury to them. Like they just whatever they want to do with it, you know. And it's really important for all women to take that power back, you know, because a lot of times the sisters, they give their power away freely, you know, and there's magic in that. You want to talk about black girl magic, you know, sisters really have magic. But the problem is a lot of it is manipulated by people other than themselves, you know, and then they fall right into the damn trap, you know, because if you go on Instagram right now, a lot of our sisters on Instagram, they not even like selling stuff. They don't even have businesses, but they just want to feel good, and they just want a lot of likes and a lot of followers so they can feel good. But the only way they're gonna beat the damn algorithm is to show some of their skin, to show their body. And before, it was like, you think you could, you just show off like you got your silhouette, you wear something tight. Nah, that's not what it is. Girls is like on Instagram naked, basically naked. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll put a little smiley face on top of the private parts or something like that, but otherwise they literally naked, you know, and then you're not even selling nothing up there. But even if you are, it's like, damn, you got to stoop to that level just to get likes, just to get, you know, you're doing it, like they say, you're doing it for the clout, you know. And it's sad because when you look at the story of Saartjie Baartman, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure, like, and the thing about that story too is, like, they said a lot of times in the story that, you know, she actually allowed it to happen. Or she said, like, when she was in the courtroom, she said she was never raped, she was never abused or nothing like that. But then, mind you, they said also the person that was working with her, basically her master, he was in the courtroom at the same time. So, you know, they had her under pressure, you know, told her, probably said, oh, if you tell on us, we're going to kill you, we're going to murder you, murder your family, go back to South Africa, do all kind of craziness. So she couldn't say nothing. And even if she did tell the truth, first of all, none of them ain't going to believe her. Second of all, even if they do believe her, it don't matter, because as a black person or as a black woman, they didn't have no power back then, especially in France and Paris, where we talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that's a powerful person. That man has a lot of money. They just gonna sweep her little issue under the rug. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's gonna get held accountable for that. And she's just gonna be in hot water for no reason, with no resolution. You know what I'm saying? No way out of it. So I understand the position that they put our sister in, where she had to, you know, lie against herself, you know, and say that the master wasn't abusing her, things of that nature. But before I pass the mic, I want to share this video real quick, Sister Keisha, because this whole Saartjie Baartman thing, right? A thing that I found that was important out of that video too, and that was something that I didn't really know before. You know, I just thought Saartjie was a thick sister. You know, we have a lot of beautiful, thick sisters that we love. It's just these devils, these Europeans out here, they used to having cardboard boxes on the bodies of their women. You know, they used to it being flat like a pancake. So that's what they used to. So when they see something that's not flat like a pancake, they automatically think that, oh, she's a circus attraction or she's a freak or something like that. You know, but what I found from the video that was interesting was the commentator said that Sarah Baartman actually had, I think it was like a diagnosis called statopegia. Statopegia. It took me a while to figure out try to find out what it meant and all of that, but I found it. And it's statopegia, basically, like he said in the video, is when deposits of your fat and your tissue, it stays in one area of your body. So that means, like, even if you're working out and things of that nature, and I know a lot of us probably have instances where, you know, similar things occur, but in this state, statopegia is a real drastic diagnosis where pieces of fat on your body just go to one place. So that's what they were saying that happened to our sister Sarah Baartman. That's why her butt was so big, was because she had statopegia. You know, so I looked that up and I found out that in modern terms, there's another diagnosis that's very similar to that, and it's called lipedema. Like, well, let me make sure I'm saying it right.
Lymphedema.
Lipedema.
Yep.
So I found that out, right? So now I'm looking up lipedema, whatever, because I thought that was interesting. Because I'm like, when they trying to take fat out of your body and trying to make people skinny, they call it liposuction. So I was like, oh, okay, so I guess it's lipedema or something like that. But anyway, when I was looking it up, I came across this video, and it's the video of the TV program, The Doctors. I know a lot of y'all probably heard of that. It comes on, I think it comes on Channel 7, Channel 4, something like that. But The Doctors, and they had this episode with this girl. I'm gonna show the video and let you see it. She was she's basically Instagram famous for the same exact reason that Saartjie Baartman is considered a circus attraction, because she has lipedema, whatever the case is. But the interesting part to me is she's famous and she's making all this money in the business off of her body having lipedema because she white. You know what I'm saying? But if the roles was reversed, we see in this situation where Saartjie, she was treated as a circus attraction, because this woman that I'm about to show you, man, is she looking sloppy? Trust me, she's not looking like, oh, one of our thick sisters that's nice, thick in the right places. Like this is just, she looking crazy. So y'all be the judge, man. But I'm just saying, compare and contrast, when it's all people, it's a totally different story. So let's get right into this video. It's a quick one. So here we go right here. Let's check it out.
Our next guest is on a mission to spread body positivity, no matter what your shape may be, but it's her own shape that's been making headlines.
Meet Raylan, a 24-year-old Instagram sensation. But what does this brunette have that has brought in over 400,000 followers? Well, she's got 70 reasons, or 70 inches, that is. This tiny-waisted woman started sharing pictures of her oversized boobs, and fans flocked. But so did the haters, many accusing her of photoshopping her posts. But this body-positive social media star fought back, posting video of her backside in all of its glory. And recently, she decided to embrace her unique assets and has turned this into a career, offering access to new photos and video of her backside for $11.99 a month. She's got booty and brains.
Everybody, please welcome Raylan to the show. How are you? So I want to ask you a couple things, Raylan, because obviously you've been making a lot of headlines. And
400,000 followers?
No, I was in shock too.
I'm jealous because you have more than I do.
I was like,
See how they treat me.
Just a little jealousy.
well, and that's what I wanted to inquire about, because I know that you've dealt with a lot, some positive, some negative, but this has become you've become a big deal lately. But how does it feel to all of a sudden become
we're gonna skip
a bit of an internet
but
sensation, if you will?
Culture bandits too. Culture bandits.
I want you to see certain parts of the video though, because
but I can shut my mouth, or my tummy, I'll just wear a loose shirt. I can't hide it. You know, I have to accept it.
But you've never
watch what this perverted guy does.
For me right over here.
You know you got the white pervert
Would you
right
mind
here.
standing up for me right over here? And if you can turn around for me. I mean, tiny waist.
Yeah, I have a flat tummy, and
Wow.
No deposit of fat here in the waist,
Wow.
part of the hips, and then you get full
yeah.
in the buttocks and outer thigh.
What was the purpose of that? I don't know.
Based on reviewing her history, and Raylan said it herself that her mom or aunt had similar condition. This started, I think, when puberty started for you, right? So
Yeah.
12, 13.
About that, yeah.
I mean, this is a classic case of of lipedema. And it's a genetic thing. It's just something you inherited. It's a combination of fatty deposits in certain areas below the waist and a dysfunction of your lymphatic system. So it's both. It's not just fat, it's also edema, and that's...
Is there a way to fix it? Like, if my daughter grows up, like, she's going to grow up and she may end up going...
All right, well, y'all get the point. So, like I was saying, when it come down to our family, Black people, we get put in circus attractions. But when it comes down to they people with lymphedema, they get to go on the doctors and 400,000 followers. So we already know it's crazy bias, it's crazy racism we dealing with. And, you know, Saartjie Baartman, she was unfortunately the poster child for being objectified. And we know secretly, most of them people that went to that damn circus attraction saw her and really wanted to emulate her at the same goddamn time. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about that time of Europe, if you go to the museum and you look at all of the statues of their women, go in the Roman and the Greek section of the Metropolitan Museum, whatever museum you got, you see their statues. None of their women are in shape, fit women. All of their women are kind of big like that, but what's the difference? They butt is flat as hell. You know, they thick and flat. So what you want? What would you prefer? You prefer, you know what I'm saying, to the brothers out there, like, I'm telling you, man. So they was trying to emulate, and at the same time, you know, because she was Black, they didn't want to give the sister her props and her credit, man, you know, but just the fact that she was able to pull a crowd like that shows you, because right now in this day and age, I saw somebody commenting on the side too. These women, especially these white women, they in the gym 24/7 trying to get that same exact look. You know how many different butt exercises I done seen them create? I looked at, I'm like, what the? I never even knew that was an exercise. The things that they doing in the gym to make their body look like the Black woman. You know what I'm saying? So they always want to emulate.
It's funny that you bring that up, because that's 100% right and exact. You know, I'm in the gym all the time and I see it all the time. That's the one thing they want to go for, you know. And again, it's all the psychosis that they have, because I'm quite sure Sister Keisha could remember this. Back in the 80s, there was a movie called 10, starring Bo Derek, and they went crazy when she came out with cornrows as if she invented that. Knowing that, I said the 80s. Right after the 70s, knowing this is when sisters always wore their hair in cornrows. Sisters always rock braids, but it was like once she did it, they act like they discovered oil or gold. You know what I'm saying? But it's the typical psychosis that they possess, that anytime they steal something, they act as if they invented it. Like even for Columbus to land in Haiti and say he found that place, you know, because we got to remember, he never set foot on what we call U.S. soil. So when they say Columbus even discovered America, it's kind of weird. How do you discover a place that you've never been to? He landed in the Isle of Hispaniola, which is now Haiti and the Dominican Republic. But I digress. My point is that no matter where they are and where they go, whatever they see us have, once they snatch it and emulate it, they act as if they're the originators or the creators of whatever it is, even the fat butt. Because if you can remember back in the 80s and 90s, they always talked about how they deployed a fat butt. Oh, I don't want my butt to be big. Oh, she's fat. But if we could remember in the early 1900s, in the Victorian era, they wore those bell dresses just to emulate Sarah Baartman. So it shows you how sick they are in the mind, you know. And like I said, their father of psychology, not ours, their father of psychology is Sigmund Freud. And when you start reading his articles and essays on a relationship to sex and power and parenthood, it's just crazy, because he believed every boy wants to be intimate with his mother, which is crazy to me, but that's their psychology, that's their psychosis, you know. As Dr. Frances Cress Wilson wrote in the ISIS paper, she got a chapter called the MFer and the original MFers. We know what the original MFers are. You know. But you know, I digress. I just had to piggyback off your point, because you hit it right out the park with that. You know, everything we have, they just He just want to emulate. Sister Keisha?
I agree with both of you. But something I wanted to point out when the film was playing about Sarah Baartman, they talked about her being trafficked from one country to the next, put on display, put in scantily tops or sheets, if you will, if that. But at one point in the film, you saw her behind a rope, and these white men or men gawking at her, trying to grab at her. It was just reminiscent of a strip club to me. The same type of behavior. That rope is there, and then you have people who are trying to grab at them. You have to ask yourselves, family, where did this strip culture come from? We didn't invent it. This is who they are. This is who they are. So that is not who we are. And that's why it's important that we have gatekeepers as to what our culture really is. Also, they talked in the film, and this was put on YouTube by Forgotten Lives. They have a channel, and I check them out sometimes. But you have no one going to prison for these atrocities that happen to us. You have people who talk about Black people don't deserve reparations. This young woman, because she was 26 when she died, had a 5-year-old son who they claim that they don't know the cause of death was. She was sexually assaulted many times, and you heard that part in the film. Nobody talks about this pimping. Where did this pimping culture come from? That's not who we are. That is who they are. And living in this society, we have adapted and picked up bad behavior and calling it our own. This is not who we are. They said that it's possible that she died from alcoholism or syphilis. In the film, they said alcoholism or syphilis. Or it could have been the numerous medical experiments that were done on her throughout her life. Mind you, again, she was 26 years of age, put on display, studied in classrooms, her anatomy to this day, and we ask ourselves, what could we do to get our people to understand that you have to curb certain behaviors that is not your own? And I'm not blaming anybody because we don't know. But now that you do know, you have to do better. You have to carry yourselves a little bit better. As you're watching these films, music videos, YouTube videos, Instagram videos, TikTok videos of busset challenges and everything else, think of the history of Sarah Baartman. Subconsciously, you are reliving her nightmare when you behave in this manner, and you don't realize how you are connected. When you hear people say we should forget about what happened back then, you can't forget about what happened back then, because what happened back then is currently happening now. You know a myriad of entertainment artists, whether it be actors or people in the music industry, who are constantly complaining about being ripped on their contracts. That's not nothing new. This has always been the status quo as it relates to us. We've got to do a little bit better. Even in the film, they said that she was forced to be baptized, even though she was of the Khoikhoi tribe. Criminal injustice, as Brother Ashe pointed out. Here it is, she's pleading her case, yet her owner is in the courtroom. So how could she protest? How could she get criminal justice? Today, we still ask the question, why can't we get justice? Look at the history before us and you'll understand. Dresses. You know, they, as Brother Taz said, back in the day, they wore these dresses with the bouffant in the back to emulate a black woman's behind. So again, and you have to look at, you know, the piece that Ashe showed of the doctors, this identity theft that we are allowing in our midst as well. People give the argument that, you know, this whole ADOS movement, if you will, that limits your legal fight to go for those who came before the United States, because she was trafficked all over. For those of our brothers and sisters who are viewing our program, listen to our program. If you're from the Caribbean, South America, Europe, and the continent, we need you to fight where you at as well. Fight for reparations where you at as well. This is a global debt that is due our people, and we all should be getting ours, not just waiting for those of us here to fight and then everybody try to climb on top. No, fight from where you come. And as we go through the month, we're also going to talk about some sisters that I know a lot of you may not know who they are, like Julia Brown. The Salem Witch Project, what was that really about? We're going to go through a lot. So, you know, that's just my take on this film. And I saw some comments in the chat. You know, before I move on, you brothers got any comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say too, like, because an important thing about this, right? Because we know, like, a lot of our supporters that watch our show every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But you know, we know a lot of us, we have heard of the story of Saartjie Sarah Baartman. But the thing that we should really analyze and peel back the layers on, like my brother Taz said, is the fact that right now in this day and age, we literally Sarah Baartman ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you study history and you look at throughout the years, you know what I'm saying? Our people had to fight and die, sacrifice their lives to not go through these things. And we literally freely do it to ourselves now. We just hand our enemies, you know, all of our private parts, all of our little level of decency and morals that we have. We give it right to them, and just to say that we equal and fit right in with all of the devilish things that they doing. You know what I'm saying? So like what's interesting to me is like, I want to get to the bottom and like, maybe, of course, we definitely need like therapy and a whole bunch of healing and things of that nature. But it's just crazy that we always do this to ourselves now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not just like sexually, you know, many other different ways. Like even when it talks about just violence, killing ourselves, crime against ourselves, snitching. I know that's a big topic right now. A lot of people talking about snitching on ourselves to the oppressors or to the enemies and things of that nature. Like, there's so many ways that we sacrifice ourselves. You know, and it's not like the moral sacrifice where you withhold from something so that things can get better. We sacrifice ourselves, you know, to make things worse for ourselves, you know, to seem like we get in some kind of gain, you know, whether it's monetary, you talking about dollars, or you talking about likes on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like we gaining something, but in the long run, it's really setting us back years and years. Because I mean, I'm a young brother, but I know from studying history that there was a time where, like, sisters, black women, like, you were treated royally. Like, how come you don't ever see like a Hasidic, I should say, you don't ever see them, you know, putting their whole body on Front Street? In fact, they cover their bodies up. The Muslim people, Arab people, you can't even see their damn cheekbones. They got, all you getting is a little eyelash, and that's it. From here, it's cut the whole. Ashe looking like this. If I was one, I'm like this. You know, so like, it's crazy, but like, you know, and we know that's a level of extremity, but at the same time, I'm just saying, like, it's honor in keeping something covered up. You know what I'm saying? Like, the black woman is royal and all of that. And I know it's the whole culture about there about don't shun the black woman or what they call it. I forgot. It's body consciousness.
I get you, brother Ashe. But before you move on, let me let brother Tad close out because I know he got to rush up out of here.
Yeah, family. I had to dip in real quick. Now I got to dip out. I got some other things to tend to. But I definitely want to thank everybody who's always been supporting and rocking out with us. So y'all know how I go. Y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. Remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, it's always better days ahead. Sister Keisha, brother Ashe, I will talk to y'all later on. Peace, family.
That's right, brother. You be well.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Ashe.
I'm saying, like, I know, sisters is all about the body consciousness now, and I ain't knocking that at all. Like, you should definitely be comfortable in your skin and your body and, be grateful for what the Most High gave you and things of that nature. But I'm just saying, like, it's interesting when, everything is all out there and you ain't got no secrets. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I understand if some sisters is doing it, but it seems like every sister is doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could be body conscious, but every sister, does body conscious mean that you gotta, reveal everything to the whole world? Is that what body consciousness means? Because most of the time when I see body consciousness now, it just means nakedness. It just means body conscious is the excuse to go on Instagram and be a thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now just because you put hashtag, oh, I'm body conscious. Now it's like, oh, it's your past. You creating a past, but it's an excuse, really. You know what I'm saying? Because underlying that, underneath all of that, somebody, you could say you as body conscious as you want. If the wrong person get up there and make the wrong comment and you in the wrong mood at the wrong time of day, your self-esteem is going to be shot if you're not really about that body conscious life. So some of y'all sisters and brothers, y'all need to stop playing with that body consciousness. There's real people that's out there that's body conscious with it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's a lot of people using this excuse, and that's just an excuse to get naked, to try to get some likes and some follows or some clout, whatever you want, some money, some checks, and it's really coming at a sacrifice, because this is what we doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like OnlyFans, I never even been on it, and that's the crazy part. It's like, how do I know what OnlyFans is and I never even been on a goddamn website? Because it becomes so popular now that it's just a normal thing, So now, like, if we feeling crazy and like we got these young sisters growing up learning that, oh, my big sister or my mother or somebody I follow on Instagram, they body conscious, but we in the hood and I need to make some money and I need to come up and I'm tired of my lifestyle that I'm living right now. So let me take off some of my clothes. Let me do that, because I know if I do that, people going to like, and people going to subscribe and things of that nature. Or I could get my little $10, $11, you know what I'm saying, off of OnlyFans to make some money. But listen, we lessening ourselves every time we do that, fam. So like, if it's a select few of people that's doing that, that's cool. But when it becomes to the whole goddamn generation that thinks that this is the only way, then we got to make some adjustments, family, because I'm still waiting, as Ashe, I'm still waiting to see the body conscious people, women, sisters, that's body conscious, that got their clothes on. That's what I'm waiting for. Why you can't be body conscious and just have on a nice, African, sun, what they call it, sundress, I'm body conscious. Like every time I see body conscious, it's nakedness, So, I mean, we got to get it together, family. Like I said, I'm a man, I ain't judging my sisters too hard. That's for Keisha and all the other sisters to get it together. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's just, what are we teaching the next generation? What are we teaching the babies, I don't got no kids yet, but when I have kids, I definitely want to have a daughter. And I don't want her to grow up in an environment that makes her think body consciousness means that you got to go out there and be naked just so you can have a level of self-esteem for yourself. Just so people won't think that you insecure and you shy because you don't love yourself and things of that nature. Oh, so now I got to go out into the world and show everybody what I got. You feel what I'm saying? So like, listen, we just got to do a little bit better, family. It's crazy out here. Like Keisha said, all these challenges. I don't even know. I hear of them. I don't know. They say the Busset Challenge. I don't know what all these. Every time you turn your goddamn head, it's a new challenge. I'm like, damn, fam. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm surprised some of the pictures y'all post, social media be allowing it. Matter of fact, if you look at social media itself, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those things. Before, I remember a couple years back, if you posted something like that, you would get flagged down. If you posted, even if you had on like a bikini that was showing too much, or if you had on like try to do lingerie instead of a bikini, that would get flagged down. But now, like I said, you could see a whole goddamn image of a woman, even men, fully naked, as long as they got a little emoji over their private parts. But you can see the whole everything else, fully naked. You know what I'm saying? And that reminds me of television too. Like, even the commercials, you go back in the days, you see like it was scandalous for women to show like undergarments. You know what I'm saying? Now you seeing every goddamn thing. You know, so times is changing. I get it, but like, what direction is the times going in, fam? So that's what we always got to think about and make sure that we just keeping our left foot forward, man. Because you know, and it's crazy too. And I'm gonna pass the mic with this one, but it's crazy because the so-called conscious community. You know what I'm saying? They be some of the worst ones. Yo, I left social media. I left Facebook.
Yes.
I left Facebook for a minute, right, fam? I should come back on Facebook within like the past month. Yo, I'm seeing Sekhmet, you know, and I'm not talking about nobody in particular because I know everybody gonna get tight right now if their name is Sekhmet. But I'm just saying, I'm seeing Osset, Isis, Sekhmet, and Zinger, all of these names, and they'd be up there talking about, oh, I want some eggplant. I'm like, yo, I thought you was about to talk about my art. You know what I'm saying? Get my chakras right, get me aligned. You know, you said I ain't know Segment and my art and Offset on Facebook was gonna have eggplant emojis, and I'm saying eggplant to censor it because they be using the whole word, like the whole explicit joints up there. And I'm like, yo, you don't know the first thing about my art or Kemen and things of that nature. Or maybe you do know about it, but you ain't practicing it. You definitely ain't living that life. Because the people that I know that really study Kemen and you know, my art and all of that stuff, they know better than that. They do better. Like, even if you study the universal laws, like the laws of Ma'at, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's things in there that tell you, like, being vulgar, things of that nature. Like, those are things that you don't do. We supposed to be here bettering ourselves as African. And I'm not saying I'm higher or holier than now, but I'm just saying I know what's we supposed to be shooting for. I know what the target is. You know what I'm saying? But when I see people up there talking about, I want some eggplant, and that's the whole post is, I want some eggplant right now. I need a massage and some eggplant. I'm like, yo, how is your name Ma'at? You need to just change your Facebook social media name because you perpetrating right now. And you making the people that's really about them, that Kemetic Ma'at or whatever spiritual system you in, making those real people look crazy. So now you know why they got people that's not in the conscious or whatever you want to call it, not in Afrocentricity. And they, soon as they see somebody with some knowledge, they want to call them Hoteps. As if Hotep is a bad word. It's a diss word now. But when we got people named or Sat Ma'at, or not just to keep going on the sisters, but we talking about sisters right now because we talking about Saartjie Baartman and Sarah Baartman. But it's people like that, man, that just make it look crazy, family. So I'm just saying, if that's who you are, you want to talk about how you want eggplant on Facebook, just change your social media name, please. Don't have Sekhmet and Zinger or Set the Third as your Facebook name. You feel me? Like, go ahead, Keisha. I'm going on and on, but
yeah, but it's 100 though. I'm over here cracking up. But you telling the truth though. I'll be watching the same thing. I'm like, this is crazy. You know, no decorum whatsoever. You know, not even thinking that, you know, you're on social media, you have family members who are friends of yours on social media, your children. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just, and for what? A bunch of people you don't even know. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. But I had to crack it up. I needed that laugh, Ashe. because after watching that video, I needed that laugh for real. But I found a picture that I was talking about where it looked like she in a strip club.
Wow.
Like, check this out.
Yep.
Check this out.
Yep.
You think what you seeing today is something new? Come on now. And it's funny, you know, you mentioned Brother Ashe, people talking about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody has always turned a blind eye as to the British crown. You know, that there's some elite or aristocratic, you know, do-gooders or what have you. You know, and this was, to me, this interview was a deflection interview, right? Because you have this Elaine Maxwell trial that's happening right now. And isn't one of those royals a part of this case now? So you don't know what Elaine Maxwell is going to spew. But it is what it is. It is what it is, family. So, you know, all jokes aside, honestly, you know, we just wanted to give you all a little insight of the history of Sarah Baartman and for you to connect the dots with some of the things that you are seeing now in media. So now excuse me, the next time you watch a film or look at a YouTube video or TikTok video or whatever, these Twitch or whatever, and you see some of these challenges or you see some of these music videos, just think back to Sarah Baartman and connect the dots so you'll understand that, you know, this is nothing new. But we moving right along because we ain't got much time left. And next week we're going to continue looking at, as I said, at Black women in history that you may not know about or know very little of, because oftentimes too, Brother Ashe, I ask about Sojourner Truth, and a lot of people don't know about her, and so maybe next week we'll highlight the life of Sojourner Truth. As a matter of fact, in upstate New York, at one of those SUNY schools, I believe the University of New Paltz, they have the Sojourner Truth Library, which is beautiful there. But we definitely going to get into her life. And I want to give a quick shout out to Pam Africa. We got to honor people while they're here. And I'm honoring Pam Africa. You know, people talk about the fight to get political prisoner Mumia Abu-Jamal released from prison, who's going through some health challenges. But it has been Pam Africa who has been working tirelessly to keep this brother alive. I believe over 40 years now, Pam Africa has been fighting for the release of Mumia Abu-Jamal and bringing his story to the world. So we got to give her, I always call her our modern day Sojourner Truth. And those of you who don't know who Pam Africa is, hopefully soon we'll have her on the program so you guys could get some insight for yourself. But you can't know about the story of Mumia Abu-Jamal and not know about Pam Africa. So kudos to our modern day Sojourner Truth. And Brother Ashe, the release of Judas and the Black Messiah, people talked about how the injustices against Fred Hampton. Again, no one goes to prison for that. It's supposed to be just pushed under the rug, or we supposed to just move on, telling his descendant, Fred Hampton Jr., that, you know, there's nothing they can do. But you still have Black Panther Party members who were still incarcerated, dealt the same hand as Fred Hampton Jr., Mark Clark, and many others who were wrongfully incarcerated because of the shenanigans of J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. You know, these same people who say never again, never mentioned the name Mumia Abu-Jamal. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to our Queen Mother, Sister Pam Africa. But we moving right along. So like I said, We talked about Josiah Hanson, aka Uncle Tom. We gave you a brief video about him a couple of weeks ago, and for those of you who missed it, you could check out our earlier programs to see that film. But I wanted to give our people, because we are thorough over here. We keep it thorough. We give you a thorough history of Josiah Henson. You know, you often hear people talk about, well, this person is an Uncle Tom, that person is an Uncle Tom, but what do you really know about Uncle Tom? And I think a lot of our people do not. So let's just get into it a little bit further with this film. Hold on one second, family.
Welcome to Dresden, Ontario. I'm Steve Cook, and I grew up in a small town. It's a rural farming community with a population of about 2,700 people. Of that population, there are roughly 10 to 12 Black families. That's today. But back in the 1840s and 1850s, over 500 Blacks were drawn here because they heard something exciting was happening. A school for refugees from slavery had been built in 1841. It was called the British American Institute, and around it developed a community known as the Don Settlement. The man behind the vision for the school was a refugee from slavery himself. His name was Josiah Henson, and it's his story and the story of these other refugees from slavery that we tell here at Uncle Tom's Cabin Historic Site. The museum is owned and operated by the Ontario Heritage Trust. We preserve, promote, and share Ontario's rich heritage. And it's Josiah Henson's story I'd like to share with you today. So we're now in the Josiah Henson Interpretive Center. This room is called the North Star Theater, and it's in this space where we talk about the African diaspora and trace the personalities and events from 3000 BC to the present day. Josiah Henson was born into slavery in Maryland in 1789. He was soon thereafter put on the auction block, and all of his brothers and sisters were sold away from him. But he was able to be reunited with his mother, and she raised him on the plantation, where he eventually rose to the position of superintendent of the farm. And in that position, you were paid a little bit of money. So he arranged with his owner to be able to purchase his freedom. But his owner took advantage of the fact that Josiah didn't know how to read or write. So he tricked Josiah out of his money, and that's when Josiah realized that his owner was never going to be a man of his word and give him his freedom. So he decided to steal his freedom. With his wife, Charlotte, and their 4 kids, they ran away on the Underground Railroad. It was a 6-week journey, traveling at night, hiding during the day. They were helped by First Nations people along the way before they finally arrived up in Buffalo, New York. And it was there that they crossed over to the Canadian side and landed in Fort Erie, Ontario. And Henson stayed there for a few years, then went down to the Windsor area, where he met up with a man by the name of Hiram Wilson, who was a graduate of Oberlin University in Ohio. Hiram Wilson had already started up a few schools here in Canada, and Josiah and he worked together and decided that Dresden would be an ideal location to start up the next school. So it was here they settled in 1841 and started the British American Institute. Henson traveled extensively. He went to England 3 times, showed off products from the site here in England at the Great Exhibition in 1851, and that was where he first saw Queen Victoria. And little did he know that later in his years, on his 3rd visit over to England, he would be a guest of hers at Windsor Castle. She had read Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, and wanted to meet the man behind the inspiration for the character of Tom. He lived out the rest of his life here in the house that we have on the property and is buried in the Henson Family Cemetery, where your tour will end. So here we have a first edition of Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin. She published it in 1852. It sold over 300,000 copies the first year in the United States and over 1 million in Great Britain. Everyone was reading this story, and then they began to question the characters that she created. Could this story really have happened, was their question, and she took offense to that. So she wrote a second book, which you see in the case here. It's called A Key to Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it was in that book that Harriet Beecher Stowe referenced Josiah Henson's autobiography, which he published in 1849. She said it was a source for her in developing the character of Uncle Tom in her novel. And that's how he became known as the real Uncle Tom. The Underground Railroad Freedom Gallery is where we have a collection of books and artifacts pertinent to slavery and the abolition movement, and interwoven within the collection is Josiah Henson's story. Knowing that a lot of our visitors don't have a history of slavery, we talk them through the beginnings, how it started in Africa with the slave trade, beginning with the Portuguese in the 15th century, and they were soon followed by the Dutch, the French, the Spanish, and the British. They arrived on the west coast of Africa and stole between 12 and 15 million Africans, loading them on boats, as you see here, for what was called the transatlantic slave trade. This is the uplifting section of the gallery called the Underground Railroad. It's here we talk about the 20 to 30,000 runaways who made it to Canada on the Underground Railroad. They traveled between 1830 and 1860 primarily, and traveled by foot, by wagon. One man made it all the way from Richmond, Virginia to Philadelphia by mailing himself in a box. And you'll hear his inspiring story when you come to tour the museum. The British American Institute lands were 200 acres of land that Josiah and Hiram Wilson purchased for $4 an acre. On this land were built a rope factory, a brickyard, a sawmill, a blacksmith shop, all these small industries that would teach these refugees from slavery new skills to survive in this new Canadian environment. Josiah Henson didn't do this on his own. He had the support of his wives, of course. His first wife, Charlotte, died the same year Uncle Tom's Cabin was published, 1852. And for 6 years, he courted this black widow from Boston. Her name was Nancy Gambrel. And they didn't have any children together, but with his first wife, Charlotte, they had 10 children. For 10 years, an assortment of abolitionists and missionaries, both black and white, kept the Institute going. An executive committee oversaw its operation, and Henson and Hiram Wilson went on frequent fundraising tours. The sawmill was an integral part of the operations here at the Dawn Institute. This land was covered with a thick growth of black walnut trees. They would be cut into planks in the sawmill, taken to the Sydenham River, which cut through the British American Institute lands, and then they would sell them down the river in ports such as Detroit and Boston, and that money would be brought back to be reinvested into the lands here. Behind me, in this house, lived Josiah Henson and his second wife, Nancy Gambrel. The house was built in 1852 and stands today as a Canadian landmark. It's a two-story structure, 2 bedrooms upstairs, and on the main level is the kitchen and the den. Spirituality and community were very important in these early black churches. It was from the sermons and the songs that they sang that they received the inspiration to, as our ministers say, keep on keeping on. This particular church was one that Josiah Henson preached in when he lived down near Windsor in the Colchester area, and it was moved up here in 1964. Your tour will end here at the Henson Family Cemetery. Here you'll find the stones of Henson descendants, as well as the federal plaque designating Josiah Henson a figure of national historic significance. This was erected in 1999. It sits beside his tombstone. Josiah Henson died May 5th, 1883, almost 93 years of age. I hope you enjoyed your tour of Uncle Tom's Cabin historic site. I couldn't possibly tell you all of the fascinating history we want to share with you in such a short video. So you have an open invitation to come.
Yo, that's crazy, Keisha. That's crazy.
So you see, and if you remember, family, in the first video, we gave you a little snippet of who Uncle Tom, or Josiah Henson, which is his proper name, of what he would do. You know, help people escape to freedom. You know, if your cotton bale was too low, he would take some out of his and put it in yours. And so, you know, don't call these traitors, if you will, or those who go against us politically or morally, as Uncle Tom's. The proper name is Sambos. And if you read the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, you will get that information. But you can also check out our brother Josiah Henson's book. It is available on Amazon, Kindle for free, and Audible for free. So you can definitely listen to the audio book, Josiah's one and only biography. But you see, Brother Ashe, he worked to buy his freedom. And because he couldn't read and write, the slave owner tricked him and kept him enslaved even further until he escaped. That was in Maryland. I believe he was born June 15, 1789. But same today. You know, you get politicians who give you all kind of promises. And you give them your vote and you come out with nothing. You know, just connect the dots, if you will, Philly. But give me your thoughts on that video, Ashe.
Yeah, yo, I'm glad you shared that too, Keisha, because the first one, that definitely introduced me to, you know, Josiah Henson and his story and things of that nature. But this one, it took it another level, because we actually got to see the house. And what was interesting to me is this is a landmark, it's historic. You know, so that shows you the importance of not only studying, but traveling as well. It's very important, family. Like, we have to have multiple sources of our information. You know what I'm saying? Because these are real places that exist. You know, this is not just some book or some YouTube video that you're watching. You can literally go to Canada and be on the property that's a historical site of Josiah Henson. And these white people know Josiah Henson more than we do. The Historical Society of Canada and all of that, whoever made the plaque, you know, all of these people, like, yo, it's crazy that they know our stories better than us, man. You know, and it's up to us. It's really important for us, you know, the new warrior scholars, to get that information and pass it to our people, because it's like what we always say on this show. That saying, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. Until the lion knows how to write, the tale will always glorify the hunter. And this is a prime example right here, because what this devil chick did, first of all, Josiah Henson's autobiography, if I'm correct, by watching this video, it sounded like that book came out before the goddamn Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Right, the Harriet Beecher Stowe book came out after, because she used his book as a reference.
Exactly. She used his book to inspire the story of Uncle Tom, which is a fictional character that she created. But the thing about it that's crazy is his book is based on a real story. It's autobiographical about how much amazing things he did, about how he freed all of these slaves and all of this stuff, just a stand-up black man. And it's based on a true story. And her book, which is fiction, sold way more copies than his book.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And she read his book. She's a fan of him and his work. She read his book to even get the inspiration to create her book. And of course, this devil goes out and makes a lot more money. So it's crazy, family. You know, we really got to make sure that we have multiple sources, because if you just studying one thing, if you would have just got your hands on Harriet Beecher's book, this would have been your what you believed Uncle Tom was. You know what I'm saying? But if you have multiple sources, you would have been able to go travel to Canada. You would have read the real Josiah Henson's autobiography. You could have broke that down immediately before they even threw that fiction at you. You know what I'm saying? So it's real important that we do these things, family, and also spread the word. Everybody that's on here right now, listen, you got to tell people, yo, hey, you know, Uncle Tom is not even a bad thing. Like, you know, that's a fictional character. Like the real Uncle Tom, Josiah Henson, was a warrior. He was a real true African-centered warrior, you know what I'm saying, for his people. You know, so it's really important for us to just regurgitate this kind of information, family, and change the whole narrative, you know. And truthfully, this devil, I mean, Sambo or Uncle Tom shouldn't be used, really, if you think about it, because it's still, even Sambo was created by a damn devil as a horrible goddamn name and term for black people by a devil. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, like Sambo's back then, of course, we had people that were, you know, traitors and doing bad things to our people back in the days, of course. But those people was put in a precarious ass situation for them to even have to decide, should I have to sell out or backstab my brothers and sisters that was created by these devils? So it's not like we inherently did that to ourselves and we're like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know? So for her to even create a situation, her people create a situation and an environment that makes somebody go and have a characteristic of a Sambo, and then they coin the term Sambo, and then you gonna go around calling your brothers and sisters Sambo, you doing the work of the goddamn slave master. You doing exactly what she wanted you to do. She created a fictional character and made it materialize in the real world. That's exactly what this devil did. She said, I want you to assume this characteristic. I want you to have this trait. So I'm going to write it in a book, Uncle Tom's Cabin, and Sambo, and create it. And people going to read it. And now you're going to have this self-hatred in yourself just because my book is a household name, a household book. And now you're going to adopt these characteristics and it's really going to become your reality. You know, so a lot of us, we got to stop falling into the goddamn tricks that they set the traps for us. And we walk right into it happily. The first thing we do when we get upset with somebody on social media, you calling them my Uncle Tom, a Sambo, just because you don't understand where they're coming from. Not even knowing what that person is about in real life, because most of the time, y'all real life is social media. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all don't even have goddamn profile pictures of yourself on social media. You know how many people I had to delete? I'm still looking for more. I know I got a couple more up there that's friends with me and don't got no goddamn profile picture. If I don't know you in real life, and to know that this is so-and-so, your ass is getting deleted because I don't know who you are. You the straight up goddamn feds. You the Judas. And not the movie Judas either. You the real Judas. Out here trying to Judify Ashe ass. Nope, you ain't catching me like that. Hell no. You ain't catching me, so I'm deleting your ass. You ain't got no pictures and you ain't accessible. Somebody I know don't know you. I can't rock with y'all, man, because y'all got that self-hatred in y'all blood. So it's the key.
But Brother Ashe, let's just remember, because a few months ago, we talked about Martin Delaney. Mm-hmm. And as you talked about a few moments ago, these people will get up close to you, steal your culture, and make money off it. Now, let's show the closeness and the significance of Harry Beecher Stowe as it relates to Black people during that time. Go back to this book, 117 Facts That You Should Know About African Americans in the Civil War. Now, here on page 34, the last paragraph, it says, it was a grand occasion on the morning of April 12th, the 4th anniversary of the surrender of Fort Sumter. Reverend Harry Ward Beecher, brother of Harriet Beecher Stowe, delivered the invitation. Now, up above that, Charleston Harbor hosted the armada of more than 100 ships and other watercrafts. One vessel in particular was the Planter, under the leadership of Robert Smalls. On board the Planter were other notables, including Major Martin Delaney and his son, Toussaint Louverture Delaney. Excuse me, that's Martin Delaney's son's name, Toussaint Louverture Delaney, and Robert Vesey, son of Denmark Vesey. All of them near and working with the brother of Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Yep.
Try to pick up that book if you can, family. 117 facts everyone should know about African Americans in the Civil War. Won't be disappointed. But again, that John Hanson book, his biography, is available on Amazon for free, Kindle and Audible. So you guys can check that out when you get a chance. But I wanted to go back, Ashe, to where it said he bought his own land to teach newly freed enslaved Africans, formerly enslaved Africans, so that they can learn a trade on the land that he purchased. So again, family, be careful when you be talking, when you be calling the names of those who betray us, Uncle Toms. You glorifying them and you don't even know it. You glorifying them and you don't even know it, family. But I wanted to go to some of the questions and comments that was in the chat. A sister said, I wonder why Uncle Tom ever became a derogatory term. Because they know folks won't read. Folks don't want to do no research. You know, it's pandemic. We brought the museum to you. We brought the museum from Canada straight to you. You know, folks don't do no research. And because someone else says it, like Black Lives Matter, you just pick up the mantra and run with it. Run with it. You know, somebody else, what he said? Brother Peace said, shout out to Brother Peace. He said, I love my sisters, but some of our sisters need to remember that this is a racist system. And if you're attracted by a white man, if you're attacked by a white man, you're going to find out that your poor taste of dressing or lack thereof will work against you if it goes to court. Well, we know that because that's why you see egregious crimes that happen to Black women and girls. Like you could go back to the Tawana Brawley case, the Lavinia Johnson case, Michelle Williams case, and I could go on and on and on. That's why. And then also too, we refuse to do anything about it. We refuse to do anything about it. And so they just keep pushing the envelope. And because a lot of our folks do not read, do not research, and just pick up mantras, they know they can play you with that. You see movies, television media ads using slang every day. But I remember the dogma that was put on Black people called, what was it? Ebonics, if you will. Speaking broken English, or whatever they want to call it, because the United States supposed proper English isn't proper English. So I don't understand where they get that from, but looking at a people who had their languages taken from us, the only thing that we've been able to do is pass down memories, folklore, tragic historical events, and how we communicate with each other shouldn't be a bother to other people. It's okay if other people speak in their own languages, but when Black people develop a language, and we are the inventors of language and alphabet, it's a problem until they figure out they can make money from it. And there are no gatekeepers. There are no gatekeepers. So that's just my stance on it. Family, if you can, do some more research on the brother Josiah Hanson. Again, the book is available on Kindle for free and audiobook for free. I want to move on real quick because we get ready to close out, but we got to touch on what's happening in New York. And, you know, as we started out, Brother Ashe, people talk about Andrew Cuomo being presidential and really not knowing the background of him, just falling in love with the way he communicates through media, because that's basically what a lot of people just know him as. You know, he was put on Front Street when this pandemic happened, and everybody looked to him for their cue. Everybody was looking to New York for what to do, thanks to Governor Cuomo. But the tables are turning, and I want our people to just have a little bit of background on Governor Cuomo. And this video was put out by Nikki Swift. She is a blogger, and this is the video we're going to show. So hold on. This is the real Andrew Cuomo, or so they say.
High-profile marriage of Andrew Cuomo and Kerry Kennedy unified two political powerhouses and earned the nickname Cuomo-lot. But the fairy tale crumbled under waves of controversy, scandal, and gossip. This is the true story of how it all fell apart. Like many Kennedy unions, the courtship between Andrew Cuomo and Kerry Kennedy had the hallmarks of a fairy tale, according to the press at least. As journalist Michael Schneerson described in a 2015 piece for Vanity Fair, the pair met in the late 1980s, when Cuomo launched a non-profit to help the homeless, and Kennedy, a noted human rights activist, was setting up her own non-profit, the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Human Rights, named after her father. With similar interests and aspirations, the coupling made sense, but it also served as a symbolic melding of two American political dynasties. The noblesse-like Kennedys and the ambitious Cuomos, whose patriarch, former New York Governor Mario Cuomo, typified the intergenerational immigrant success story. Although the romance between the two seemed genuine, Andrew also knew a union between them would be valuable political capital. According to Schneerson, he purportedly secretly met with select members of the press to ask their opinions on a Cuomo-Kennedy engagement before he even proposed. Schneerson wrote of the discussions, "Some of the journalists were acquaintances at best. Appreciative as they were of candor, the pre-proposal talk struck them as odd. Why would he share this intimate plan with them before he broached it to Kerry? And why worry about how the media would perceive it?" Some sources believe Cuomo's strategizing may have foretold the implosion of the marriage before it even began. Andrew Cuomo and Kerry Kennedy wed in 1990, and their union became known as Cuomo-lot in the press, a nod to Kerry's uncle, the former President John F. Kennedy, and his administration's association with the Camelot of Arthurian legend. But the marriage proved to be anything but a peaceable kingdom. According to the Cuomo biography, The Contender, also written by Vanity Fair reporter Michael Schneerson, this alliance was fraught with infighting and cataclysmic tension behind the facade of political royalty. Red flags were present from the very beginning. According to Schneerson's book, Cuomo placed an embargo on family toasts at the couple's wedding reception. That decision reportedly bucked a long-held Kennedy tradition and left the family aghast. Schneerson wrote, "No toasts? The Kennedys were astonished. Toasts were the best part of a wedding. The more irreverent, the better." But that, it seemed, was exactly why Andrew forbade them. He didn't want the risk of any off-color stories. "This is no fun," the Kennedys muttered among themselves. Unfortunately, the dynamic only worsened from there. Andrew Cuomo never gelled with the extended Kennedy clan and was allegedly disdainful of the family's relaxed camaraderie. According to biographer Michael Schneerson, he hated the gatherings in Hyannis. He always felt like the odd man out. The joshing around, the freewheeling talks, Andrew was just too tightly wound to join in. At one point, Cuomo reportedly stopped going to the Kennedy family compound on Cape Cod entirely, thus distancing his wife Kerry from her family as well. When Cuomo began working for President Bill Clinton's administration as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, he allegedly forbade friends and family members from socializing in his and Kerry's home. According to Schneerson, the new rule reinforced the doubts the family had had about Andrew from the start. He wasn't fun. He didn't get fun. He was, to put it mildly, a spoilsport. All that criticism could arguably be attributed simply to scuttlebutt and challenging family dynamics, but an unexpected and painful loss may have played a big role in what appeared to be Andrew and Kerry's steep marital decline. Some say Andrew Cuomo's behavior following a Kennedy family tragedy created an irreversible schism between the governor and his in-laws. In 1997, after 39-year-old lawyer Michael Kennedy was killed in a skiing accident, the Kennedy family decided to close ranks and mourn in private. Cuomo reportedly took a different tack when he and his brother Chris Cuomo slipped away from a gathering in the Kennedy family's Hyannis Port compound to speak to the press lurking outside. Author Michael Schneerson claimed
That's right.
Just wanted to give our people a little insight, and this is what I mean when they put these candidates before you. You have to do a little bit of research. He was slated to be the golden child for the Democratic Party, even though he claimed he did not wish to run for presidency. But this is just to give you a little background of Governor Cuomo. And I hope that Attorney General Letitia James goes after him with the same vigor that she went after R. Kelly and a whole bunch of others. There is no excuse. I see silence with the Me Too group. Don't go after him. Keep quiet. And like I said in the beginning, these are allegations. Allegedly, he was inappropriately touching people and other things who work with him. But family, always dig deeper. Always dig deeper. And that's why here on Thorough Black Talk, we give you thorough information so that you can go back and dissect it yourself. Brother Ashe.
Yeah, it's just what I got out of that too is it's crazy because like these people, man, they know the importance of family. They know the importance of family. And we don't. Our people have been miseducated to devalue the importance of family. Now you got women saying, I don't need no man. You got brothers out here, they don't want a family. They just want, to get what they could get and stick it and move, But when it comes to these devils, they understand about building an empire, building a dynasty, keeping it in the family, keeping the money.
Come on.
The power, all in the family. In fact, their families and other devil families are coming together to create a devil family. You know what I'm saying? To share that power and to share that wealth and make the generations after them continue the same thing. Yeah, when we think about our people, it's like it's the total opposite. You know what I'm saying? And when we talking about you talking about the Cuomos and the Kennedys, like you talking about the Kennedys, then you talking about who else? Like you got these large families. We showed the video last week and the week before about the powerful families that secretly run the world.
Okay.
The Rothschilds, the Kochs. You got the Morgan, JP Morgan, all of them people like
Elon Musk.
Even now, the Kardashians, they become one of them. Like
the Bushes.
You got so many of these people. When it come to these white people, they know how to keep it in the bloodline. But when you look at us, the first thing we want to do, unfortunately, when we get a little bit of power and a little bit of money, we want to go out and marry a white woman. We want our sisters want to go out and marry a white man or anything else but a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what is considered reaching a level of success, is marrying outside of your race and things of that nature. And especially the ones that have wealth, like the millionaires, the entertainers, or whatever method or route that you got your money from.
Crazy.
People always go to somebody outside of their race. So then that wealth leaves as soon as they get divorced, as soon as they get, they die or something like that. It leaves the black. But if you look at them, they get divorced, they die, it stay right in their family, it stay right in their race. You know, so I don't want to hear no excuses about like, oh, love who you want to love and things of that nature. Like, listen, family, they know the importance of keeping it with them. You know what I'm saying? They know, because they don't want power to be spread. They don't want to share power. You know, they want to keep it amongst themselves. So this is something that we got to sit back and analyze and look at it. Like, besides the fact that Black women are just beautiful, Black men, you know, sisters, y'all love y'all Black men, the conscious ones out there. Besides that, besides all the spiritual benefits and things of that nature of, you know, engaging in a beautiful African union, it's real life benefits. It's power. It's like, how are we going to regain our nationhood, our sovereignty, and all of that stuff if we don't have the fundamentals down pat? You know, they are practicing it. These are things that they literally practice. They teach their children that. Some of us, if we try to teach our children that, you'll be ashamed. The person that you thinking about mating or having children with, you need to have these kind of questions with them. It's like, yo, we gonna raise our children to like marry Black people, right? And create Black babies, right? Because some of y'all have those conversations with these people, and it's like they scared to even say the goddamn word to their children. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is a different day and age, man. I remember, you know, I studied history back in the days. We ain't had no problem. Black on Black love, that was the thing back then. That was the thing. Now y'all dipping in, I don't know what y'all dipping in, yo. Y'all dipping in all kind of different sauce nowadays. I don't know what y'all, but I'm telling you, family, we got to get this thing together, man, because, you know, by this rate, and you know what's interesting about that too is, you know, I know a lot of y'all saw the National Geographic, that cover of that article where they said what Americans would look like, or what humans would look like 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, what they would look like. And they all been mixed people, you know what I'm saying? But the thing that's interesting to me about it is, how come like you don't hear you hear some pushback, but it's not prevalent. But like, how come a white platform like National Geographic is actually comfortable with showing it? Like, you don't question that? How are they comfortable with them being white and they the owners of it, and they comfortable sharing it? It's because they got it all planned out. They got it planned out. They said, if it's gonna happen, let's make sure we manipulate it in a way that benefits us. So now, like we said, Taz showed you earlier, every time you turn around, you're seeing a Black woman, a white male. So the Black race is still getting dominated. You know what I'm saying? So then the mind is getting dominated. You know, give them a little bit, make them think they got something because they getting jobs from us. Meanwhile, we still employing them. You know? So these are things that we got to pay very close attention to, family, and make sure that, you know, we are questioning. Why are they comfortable showing this? Because they got a plan. They got a plan. And us, our people that's sitting here and dating and marrying outside of the race, they don't have no goddamn plan for our race. Matter of fact, I shared the video. We're gonna share it next week on our on Facebook page. Huffington Post. This white woman, this Black woman, she's sitting there talking about my biracial baby. This is what we got to deal with because my biracial baby looks white and she's Black. So she having a goddamn crisis in herself, not knowing if she should claim her child as her child. She not to claim it. She was claiming it, but like, she don't feel comfortable. She said she felt like she was outside her own goddamn house because she's in a house with her white husband and her daughter who looks white. So now she feels like an outsider in her own goddamn house. But these are the stories that you don't hear about as often, you know, because all you see on television is the happiness of the Black woman with the white man in a big mansion. You know what I'm saying? You don't get the other side, the after, how things are, how you walking down the street and all of that nature. And these white devils is giving, damn, not even us. These devils is out here giving dirty looks to them. Because, you know, they want to preserve them. They definitely about preserving them. They got a, did y'all even know this before we cut out right now? If you ever see a devil and they got on a Coors hat, do you know that there's a gang out there that all they do is wear like Coors Light. You know the beer Coors Light? All they do is wear Coors Light clothing and hats, and they even get Coors Light's tattoo. If you ever see a white person with a Coors Light tattoo, I'm gonna tell you what that means. That stands for it stands for something of our race struggle. I forgot what the C stands for, but it's something of our race struggle. I think it's like, I can't remember, but look it up. Coors is a racist term. Just like those goddamn spider cobwebs that I'm seeing a lot of people get tattooed on their elbow. That's a goddamn racist term as well. So it's a lot of things that's undercover, family. We just got to make sure that we are keeping our head on a swivel and, you know, making sure we always promote the Black family, man. Not only is it beautiful, but that's how we're going to really regain our power. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we about to cut up out of here. Sister Keisha, you got any final words before we get out? Or
again, family, we thank you for tuning in every week. Share the program.
Just remember,
Go ahead.
Comrades of our racial struggle. That's what it stands for.
And somebody mentioned Claudette Colvin. We didn't show a picture of her, but here's a picture of Claudette Colvin at the age of 15. Before Rosa Parks, she went in. But family, again, remember the history of Sarah Baartman and everything that she went through. Again, you can rewind this, check it out later. Don't forget Josiah Henson, aka Uncle Tom, who he really was. Share that. Again, we'll see you Black next week. And we keep it thorough. Next week, we got another banger for you. Another banger. I'm telling you, we're going deep into the history. We don't want y'all to leave here and say, you know what? They ain't even go into it. We giving it all to you right here. We keep it thorough. Brother Ashe.
Yeah. Man, thank y'all for tuning in, rocking out with us. You know what I'm saying? It's great to just have these open-ended conversations where we just talk about stuff. We share information. You know, and we definitely appreciate everybody that shows the love. Share this link. Please make sure, let's get some more people. Next week, we're going to have a power-packed show. I'm telling you, I'm going to bring Fire God back out because I had a headache tonight. But, you know, I was still excited to come up here, you know, get this conversation in because I gained from it as well. You know, shout out to everybody that's in the room. And let's just make sure that all this information we regurgitated, all of this wisdom that we got tonight, let's push it forward. Let's let our people know about it. Tell people about Uncle Tom's Cabin. Tell people about Josiah Henson. Tell people about Claudette Colvin. Tell people about all of these amazing deeds and people that, you know, we are sharing this information on, family. Let's not let these people die in the hearts and the minds of our people, man. So let's keep our left foot forward. Always remember, true courage is knowing how to suffer. It's your brother Ashe SJ. The battlefield is where you stand, family. Sister Keisha.